Do you feel like you have overdone it this holiday season? Are you feeling sluggish, lethargic? Do you want to lose weight, but you don't want to go to extreme measures? Today on the Possibility Mom Live, I'm going to be bringing on my friend Jessica Castillo, who is a high performance coach, and we're going to talk about how to start 2023 healthy. First of all, a very Merry Christmas. I took a week off last week, and so I've not been able to wish you a very Merry Christmas. For my fellow Catholics, I know you are still partying hard because we celebrate this season all the way until this Sunday. Some people even go farther beyond. I am coming at you from the Canadian wilderness. If you did not see via my email list or my Instagram, we have returned back to Canada and we are here for a bit of an extended stay. Now, of course, y'all coming in hot with all your questions about why we are back in Canada. I will do a longer podcast explaining all the reasons why we decided to come back for a period. We are not here forever. We're keeping our home in Florida. We are renting it out for a season. We had always intended to be back and forth a little bit more, but of course the pandemic stopped that plan, and so we decided that this is a really great time for us to be in Canada for an extended period. It has been so nice to see both sets of grandparents. I'm pretty sure my dad met Colleen, but my mom for sure did not meet both Andrew and Colleen, my two youngest children. And then my husband's parents, I can't recall if they met Colleen or not. I don't think they did. So, anyway, it has been just lovely to be here in the Great White North. We arrived, though, I will be very honest with you. I was like, Lord, this is very chilly, a very chilly reception. We arrived just as the epic snowstorm descended. And it was so funny. We drove from Ave Maria, Florida to Toronto. We typically drive because just with so many kids, it's actually easier to be able to drive. And we were so tired. It was like hour, I don't know, maybe 27 of travel. And we were so tired. It was Pittsburgh where we were so tired. And I'm looking at VRBOs. I'm like, can we stay somewhere? We're so exhausted. But everywhere we saw the signs of do not travel Thursday morning, do not travel Thursday morning, like big blinking signs saying do not travel Thursday morning. So we literally arrived, I think, really late, really early Wednesday. So we had one day where the storm started to pick up and then it hit everybody on Thursday. So I hope all of you who are in a similar climate to me are safe and warm. I hope you are enjoying this holiday season and are relaxing as much as you can with little ones at home. Today on the podcast, I am so excited to talk about looking forward. Whew, especially where it comes to health. Now, you know that I have had quite the journey with my body over the last, how many years you want to call it. I have had 10 pregnancies. I've got 9 babies here on earth, 1 baby in heaven. I've basically been a nonstop baby making machine over here for approximately 14 years. And so my weight has fluctuated with my hormonal seasons. I have no thyroid. That is the scar on my neck. And so I'm always very cognizant of my hormonal levels and all of those things. I recently worked with a coach who specializes in spiritual fasting. You might remember Beth Bubick. So I have always been very cognizant of the things that are necessary for my body to perform. And here's what I'm going to say. When I was in my 20s and having babies and doing all the things even crazier than I do now, I was interior designing very heavily back then. So meaning I was pulling like 16-hour days easily. I just kind of was like, go, go, go. I can eat a bagel and absolutely no big deal. And like I had so much stamina. I could lose weight so quickly, et cetera, et cetera. Something very not so pleasant happened when I hit my 30s. And I noticed a marked difference in having babies in my 30s. Let me know in the comments if you are in a similar boat to me where you noticed massive body changes as you entered your 30s. I am now officially, like way officially, I will be 39 in like a month. When did that happen? How am I 39? 39, you guys, is like old. Like 39 is like my mom. My mom is not 39. She looks like she's 39. Mom, if you're listening, I love you. You look like you're 39. But like when I hear 39, I'm like, that's a grown up. That's a grown up with adult responsibilities. But anyway, I have lots. I have so many responsibilities. But the point I'm trying to share here, maybe not so concisely, is that I have recently, in recent years, just become very convicted that your health is not something you can kind of like disregard or take care of later, because unfortunately I think where health is concerned, later can be too late. So today I want to chat with my dear friend Jessica, who is going to share with us how we can be healthier in 2023. If you struggle with these kinds of habits and patterns when it comes to energy, when it comes to diet, when it comes to exercise, I want you to pay attention. I think you are going to really enjoy what Jessica has to say. Jessica, are you ready? Everybody, welcome to the Possibility Mom Live. Jessica Castillo, how are you? Oh
Hi, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
my gosh, I love your lip color. It's like a mulberry.
Yeah, I felt festive,
All
It's
right,
good. Very Christmassy.
Jessica, for anyone who might not know who you are, tell us a little bit about you and how did you get into the world of high performance, peak performance coaching?
Okay, so my name is Jessica Castillo. I am the founder of A Thriving Catholic. But in a previous life, I was a West Point graduate and an Army officer. So that's where I first got really interested in using things like sleep, diet, and exercise to actually enhance your performance, to be at your peak, and to do your best. When I got out of the Army, I became a mother. And it was definitely in this time of like having babies and raising children that I still kept, for the most part, like exercise was always important to me. Healthy eating was always important to me. I wasn't maybe sleeping as well as I could have been, but I was trying to really figure out like what God was calling me to do as a grown up. Like Lisa was saying, like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out of the Army and I'm a mom and now I'm like a grown up. Like I have to do something with my life. And I couldn't really figure out like what that was. So I was, I joke that I'm a grad school dropout. Like I kept going back and forth in different graduate programs and trying to figure out like what I was going to be when now that this Army career was over. And I was like not expecting, well, like God works in mysterious ways. I totally wasn't expecting the way that I would find my path to be after my third child was about a year old. I just had really hit this wall where I was like, I don't know what you want from me. Like I was at the time homeschooling and I was like, I felt really stuck and really trapped. And I was like, I know that you're asking me to do something. You've given me these talents, you've given me these gifts. I don't feel like I'm using them. And that really kind of led me to this kind of downward spiral where I didn't want to try anymore. Um, so a lot of what Lisa does with the Possibility Mom, I love the word possibility. It attracted me so strongly because I love that, like where I was trapped was this feeling of like nothing was possible and it didn't matter anyway. And so I really sunk into this very deep depression. And I made it worse for myself because I started drinking pretty heavily. I was turning to like junk food, like lots of junk food, late night TV binges, it just really being terrible in my habits because I didn't care. Like I didn't feel like I had a reason to take such good care of myself anymore. I was like, what was the point? What was the purpose? And it really led me into an even deeper depression because, as Lisa was mentioning, like what we do, like how we take care of our bodies, like that matters. Like that matters to our mental state, to our energy levels, to everything. So, I was in this downward spiral. And, I was fortunate that I had a friend at this time who like pointed out helpfully to me that I was dealing with depression, because sometimes you don't recognize it when you're in the midst of it. And that was a real game changer for me, because at that point, I was able to think about, okay, this isn't external to me. Like, this isn't my husband. This isn't my kids. This isn't my vocation. That's like, this is something that's going on in my own brain. And if it's going on in my own brain, then there's a lot that I can do about it.
Mm.
And I really started thinking about depression as my enemy. And so, being a former Army officer, I like the thinking in terms of strategy. And if you have an enemy, then you come up with a strategy. There's a plan of attack. There's something you can do to help yourself feel better. And so I started, changing my habits, changing what I already knew, like what I had already learned and I'd experienced in the past. And that just had a really profound impact. Like, within months of changing these habits, like, I was feeling so much better that when I actually finally did go to see a therapist, she was like, "What are you doing here? Like, you're
Mm.
doing great." You're like, and I was like, I had lost weight, I had more energy, I had this renewed sense of purpose. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like when I was able to now, from a place of like energy and health and vitality, approach God and ask him and really listen and not just do what Jessica wanted to do, because I'm like, that was what I think I had been doing for so many years. Like, I just was open and said, "Okay, God, what is all of this? Like, you've called me on this path. You led me to go to, West Point. You led me to be an Army officer. You led me to have all of this stuff. Like, what is all this for?" And it was really at that time that the vision for a thriving Catholic really came to me. And I was like, well, my mission is now to help other women gain their own health and energy and vitality. And what really lights me up about it is that what I help women do, like, that enables them to now serve their God given purpose, because I really believe that God has a plan. He has a mission. He has something he wants you to do specifically, that he is like tailor made for you. And when you find it, like, it's going to light you up. You're going to be so happy. You're going to be so like alive doing it. And so that's kind of how I got into health coaching, so I became a certified health coach. Yeah,
There's
that's
so
what I
many
do.
things I want to unpack, and I'm going to make a mental list in my head, because there's so many things I want to unpack. The very first thing though is the Army. Now, I'm Canadian.
Mhm.
It's been so interesting living in the US for 3 years and understanding it's a very different culture in the US with reverence to the Army. So um, I have come to really love and respect all of those who serve. And my impression is that they teach you really good habits. Like, you kind of can't be at West Point without some good habits. So I'm really curious if you can pinpoint, like, if you remember the exact moment or one moment where you were like, no, I'm saying goodbye to that habit. And I'm just going to eat the potato chips. You know what I mean? Like, can you remember at some point in your motherhood where you were just like, I am choosing to not utilize maybe my training or my experience right now? Or was it not so sudden? Was it more subtle? Like,
Yeah, I think it was definitely more subtle. It was a time of like, I remember the time when, like, what was happening when everything got like super overwhelming for me. Like, my oldest daughter was diagnosed with celiac disease. We had
Mhm.
moved, we had just moved again. And I was in grad school for, because why not? Like, I was getting a graduate degree in chemistry of all things. And I was, I was under a lot of like pressure. There was a lot of things going on. And I think that it was really like, I couldn't pinpoint an exact moment, but it was definitely this gradual like slide into dissatisfaction of like, you know, what's my purpose anyway? And that definitely kind of led me to be like, oh, I'm unhappy in my current life. And I always think about the quote from St. Thomas Aquinas. Um, and I might butcher it a little bit, but he said something like, man cannot live without joy. So
Mhm.
when he's deprived of true spiritual joy, it's necessary. It becomes necessary that he turns to low and earthly comforts.
Mm.
And that was really, I think, what was happening for me. Like, I was feeling so resentful and so angry towards God, because I'm like, why would you call me to this vocation that is so unsatisfying? Like, that I'm like stuck with these little kids and now all I can do is wipe butts and wipe counters and that's what I do with my day and like
Yeah.
and so I was feeling in my day-to-day life this lack of joy. And so I think that happens to a lot of women where we're like, what other pleasure am I going to have except for this glass of wine or like except for these potato chips or except for this ice cream?
Absolutely. I think too, it's very quick. Like for example, I don't know if you can hear, but there's like all kinds of activity happening early on the other side of this call. And I can just remember so many times in my early motherhood and currently I have a few more skills now, but especially in my early motherhood, it was just so easy to grab the thing that would help you reduce the cortisol. I
Oh
was
yeah.
just a guest on Metanoia Catholic's podcast, and we were talking about cortisol.
Hmm.
I was talking about money and how the lack of money on a family can be a really big source of stress, and that pulsing of cortisol in your body, a body can only take so much. And we were talking about how your mind can help so much. So, like, even when you are totally exhausted, and your body might not be in peak condition, your mind can certainly compensate. But it's from personal experience and with all the training that I have, like it is difficult. Like it takes
Hmm.
a lot of effort when your body is not, you know, operating on good sleep, on good nutrition. And yet sometimes we choose to do these things. Okay, so I want to pivot the conversation slightly. Um, and I think it's important that, like, if you're listening to this and you're just like, I'm too far gone, there's no hope for me. I really want you to listen because that's just simply not true. Like, no one is too far gone, so to speak, in their health. There is always something a little bit better than what you're doing. And that's what I really appreciate about you, Jessica, is you have this very empathetic but also very empowering way of encouraging people to not necessarily see it all as we're going to just make this huge abrupt shift. And for some people that can be very helpful and useful. Some people, these kinds of abrupt changes can be very effective. But for others, especially if you have not really been practicing any kind of healthy habits, it can be a lot more challenging. So, Jessica, help us in 2023. If someone is listening to this and they're like, I am so tired, I am so far gone, I drink wine to cope with stress, I eat the potato chips to cope with stress, I stay up late on my phone every single night because that is how I get my alone time, and then I wake up again exhausted. If anyone can relate to any of these things, what is the first thing we can do in 2023 to just make a subtle, slight, but also high yield in results improvement?
Well, I would say the first thing, and then this is what we've often during the Christmas season been overindulging in, is to stop eating sugar and stop drinking alcohol. And I'm not saying like forever and for the rest of your life,
Mhm.
but I think it's really, really helpful to give your body and brain just a short time to recover from that because your body is constantly having to detoxify itself. And we can talk more about detoxification in a little bit, but like the main thing is sugar and alcohol are both messing with your energy levels and your anxiety. Like alcohol makes you feel more anxious, if not like the day that you're drinking it, but the next day you're going to be more anxious and more irritable. And a lot of times we kind of lack awareness around these things because they become either like a daily habit or we've never really taken a long enough stretch of time away from them to really see how they affect our bodies. But it's a really simple thing to cut those things out. And then I would also say, like, instead of just cutting things, think about what you could replace it with. So
Mm,
if you are like looking forward to that glass of wine every night because that's like how you unwind, it's your special thing, like to just kind of brainstorm what are some other special things that you really enjoy.
mm,
Like for instance, like I recently got in a White Elephant gift exchange this really beautiful tea mug, and it has like a built-in like loose leaf tea strainer. And it's just so beautiful. And I love it so much. And I have like this herbal rooibos tea that came with it. That's delicious. It's amazing. And for me, that feels very much like a treat. So if I can say, well, I'm not going to have a drink, but I am going to have this beautiful mug of tea, like that can also help, like, or even something as simple as like if you really enjoy a cocktail, like can you give yourself some club soda on ice with a wedge of lime? And could you make it in a pretty special glass that makes you feel good when you drink it? And, so like to just really get creative and brainstorm like how you're going to reward yourself with things that are actually like good for your body at the same time. And when it comes to like sugar and things, I love like really high quality dark chocolate. And so for me, like having a square of like a really high quality dark chocolate that I really let myself savor and I really enjoy, like it's very low sugar. There's not, I mean, maybe 2 grams of sugar, really small, but just those simple little shifts. Like it doesn't have to be like, I'm never having sugar ever again, but maybe give yourself like a designated time frame that you're just going to take a break and you're just going to see like what happens and be curious and playful about it.
So take a break and diversify. I remember I worked with a
Mhm.
coach, and that was the phrase she kept using. We're going to diversify the way you relax. We're going to diversify the way you celebrate. I did not realize, Jessica, like this was not that long ago that I realized how much I celebrated with food. I think
Mhm.
I come from a culture like Filipinos. Food is everything. Like every party. Like I was just at my mom's house, and it's like I forget what Filipinos do around the holidays. It is just like plate after plate after plate after plate after plate of food. And so she really encouraged me to diversify the way I celebrate. So take a little break and let's diversify. What about sleep? Because sleep, I think, is such an interesting thing for entrepreneurs. I think it's such an interesting thing for moms because it's like my observation, myself included, is we can sometimes wear it like a badge of honor. It's like, I stayed up
Mhm.
so late last night to finish my lead magnet, or I stayed up so late last night because, whatever, I was organizing the playroom. Or sometimes we don't wear it like a badge of honor. It's like, I stayed up last night hiding under the covers, scrolling social media because I didn't want the morning to come. Like there are all kinds of ways that we stay up late. So what can we do in the new year for sleep?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for sleep is it really comes down to that mindset shift around sleep. Like, because I mean, I can tell you right now, like, the most important thing is like, we'll set a bedtime and go to bed on time. But that's so much easier said than done because, like, what you were mentioning was like, well, there's reasons why we're not going to bed on time. There's reasons why we're maybe messing up our sleep schedule. Um, and so I think it definitely the first step would be to kind of reframe the way you think about sleep. And so, I definitely like to think about sleep as a performance enhancer. I like to think about sleep as that thing that is my secret superpower. Like,
Mhm.
sleep is what's going to make me think faster, think more clearly, come up with more creative ideas. It's going to help me be a more patient, responsive parent. It's going
Mhm.
to make when that morning like time comes and I have to get up and deal with my kids, it's what's going to keep me even keel during it all and like feeling like I can manage it and I'm not overwhelmed by all those things. So I really think the first step when it comes to sleep is just to start like to really recognize what good sleep can do for you and to live in that possibility, like that moment of like, oh, what if I didn't have to be tired all the time? Like, what if I could have not foggy thoughts? Like, what if I didn't have to have like 3 cups of coffee just to like start my day? Like to let yourself get excited about what that would look and feel like for you. And then to know that it is 100% possible for you to get there. And those like shifts, from there, then we can start shifting some things. You can start prioritizing your sleep.
The mindset coach in me gets interested thinking about, also, can you remove the source of what causes you to stay up late? So for example, if you know you're tempted to online shop or scroll social media, can you put a timer on your phone that blocks you out of those apps, or can you leave your phone in your kitchen, for
Oh,
example,
yeah.
or
There are
what?
like 900 million like simple shift. Maybe not. Like it's like maybe a slight exaggeration, but there's a lot of simple shifts that you could do like that where you're just using your intellect and will to be like, "Oh, I start scrolling my phone. What if my phone doesn't come upstairs with me?" Or like, "Oh, I get sucked into work. What if I don't open any work related thing after 7 p.m.?" or whatever it is. Like there's so many simple things, but I think it really starts with that intention of just like maybe like just being super deliberate about it and saying like sleep is a priority for me, and I'm going to honor my priority to get better sleep. And that, I mean, honestly, if you only do one thing in 2023, but you work on getting like really good sleep, like that is one of those keystone habits that everything else is going to really fall into place. Like it's so much easier to eat better when you're sleeping well. It's so much easier to be motivated to exercise when you're, sleeping well. It's so much easier for you. And then it like reinforces itself because you're going to be so much more productive and better at work and in everything else you're doing. You're like, wow, I actually do have time to sleep. It's
I
amazing.
feel like sleep is like prayer. Like, you
Mhm.
don't feel, or at least my experience is like, you don't feel the impact of it until you really do it. Like,
Right.
I remember thinking, "I don't have time to pray. I've got, like, all these children. There's no way I can."
Mhm.
And then you start to develop these healthier habits, and now I'm like, "Oh, I can't not pray." I feel like
Yeah,
sleep is
yeah.
very similar. You don't realize its return on investment until you start to get some of it. Okay, very quickly, because I
Yeah.
want to talk about detoxing. What about those of us who, for example, I've been in this really funky season where we've been in like 3 homes in, I don't know, 10 days, right? And so my kids, my littlest kids are very disoriented. It's been kind
Mhm.
of challenging. So I've had kids like I'm running on very little sleep. What about those who are maybe nursing babies where you want to make sleep a priority, but of course there are some factors that are beyond your control, like children waking up in the middle of the night. What can we do to help ourselves either with our nutrition or with, I don't know, naps during the day? Like, what do you recommend to people who do have interrupted sleep because of a season of life they're in?
Oh, absolutely. So if your sleep is interrupted because of the season you're in, which is like super common, there's a few things you can do. The first is, of course, to try to schedule yourself more time for sleep than like, the standard time because you're going to get woken up. So you know that even if you go to bed and like on your schedule it looks like you're getting 9 hours of sleep, you know that you're not. So, stretch your bedtime to be earlier than you think that it would have to be, but just planning, knowing that you're not going to be sleeping that whole time. The other thing is that when your sleep is taxed like that, your body is already under a lot of strain
Mm,
because you're sleep deprived. And so your body's already kind of working overtime to keep you alive and functioning and doing all the things. So the last thing you want to do is make it harder for your body by feeding it crap. So
mm,
you're really going to want to focus on very nutrient dense foods during this time. Like I always say, there's like the trifecta of like protein, healthy fat, and fiber. And you can think about fiber as like vegetables or, produce, especially. But, just let yourself focus on getting those three components in every one of your meals and really thinking about it in terms of nourishing your body. And like, how are you going to support your body in this time that it's already like under a lot of stress? So don't make it worse, help yourself, feed yourself what's going to really nourish you.
so good. That's such good advice. Okay, let's talk about detoxing because
Okay.
I hear that word and I'm like, "Ugh," like I want to do it, but I'm also like, oh, is this going to be hard? So why is it important that we detox?
Okay. So, first of all, you should know your body's already detoxing. Like right now, your body is detoxing. Your liver is detoxing. Your skin is detoxing. Your lungs, like we are exposed to toxins constantly. So, environmental, but mostly our biggest toxins are really coming from the food we're eating. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like, GMO or whatever. It's just that we're eating junk for the most part. And this can be really, and alcohol, which is a poison. And, the things that we're taking into our body, like, your body is already working to clear those toxins all the time. And it's so cool. Like God has designed our bodies so beautifully that really, like when you take in these toxins, what your body's going to do is it's going to like wrap it in mucus, wrap it in or bury it in a fat cell. It's going to tuck it away so that it's not in your bloodstream and it's not like causing problems in your body. But the problem is now we're storing toxins in our body. So we're storing toxins in our fat cells, we're storing toxins in like mucus and mucosal linings. So a detox can be really helpful because it's a short period of time. It's not like the whole rest of your life, but it's just a short period of time, or I mean, honestly, it could be the whole rest of your, like, you could eat in the way that I recommend people detox. It's not like you're just drinking lemon water, like, and exclusively for a week. Like, I really focus on a very gentle detox, which is just nutrient dense. It's just whole foods based, nutrient dense, nourishing foods that also happen to have detoxifying properties that are going to help push your body along in this detox process. And the whole point is really to just get at those toxins that are stored in your body and then flush them out, so that your body can start fresh. And so, yeah, I think I like to think of it as just like a little bit of a reset, a little bit of a fresh start. It doesn't have to be scary or complicated. It's not going to be like super hard.
I
And
love
yeah.
how you just said it. We wrap them in mucus. I think that's so
It
funny.
sounds gross, but it's super cool that your body does this.
So well, I'm sold because I'm exhausted and I have way too much sugar, way too much alcohol. I'm gonna be returning. My doctor just told me that I have really high cholesterol. So it's time, Jessica. It's time
Mhm.
for a detox. It's time for some new habits. So tell us about this 5-day fresh start detox that you have got going on. What is it? What are you doing? And why should people join?
Okay, so the 5-day Fresh Start Detox, this is a group detox program that is going to be running from the 9th of January to the 13th of January. So it's literally just a Monday through a Friday. It comes with all of the meal plans, recipes, shopping lists, daily protocols, and the support of a group. I will be starting it with a live kickoff call a week from today, where I will actually be going through in detail, like all the protocols. There's bonus handbooks. There's all the things you need in there to be successful. But the reason why I think it's important to do it like this and to actually like do a group detox instead of just being like, okay, I'm just going to eat better in the new year, is that it really helps you. First of all, it's not that complex. So I try to make it as simple as possible so that you have everything you can possibly need to be successful. It's all included so that you don't have to think about it. I'll even tell you, like, you're going to go shopping on this day or sometime within this 2-day window, go shopping, do your vegetable prep. Here's how you can do it so that you can see how it can actually fit into your life without it being like super full of drama. Like, it doesn't have to be. And
I
then
think
another thing that is really helpful is just having that group community and support. We're going to have a group, like a Facebook group for specifically for the detox. And so when you're on day like 2 or 3 and you're like having serious cravings, or you're feeling maybe kind of headachy, which happens when your body is flushing toxins, you might not feel super awesome for like a day or two. It's really helpful to have that group to lean on and say, like, I'm feeling that way too, but we can do this. We can make it through this together, because then by day 5, think about how much better you could be feeling, like what results you could be having. And to be 100% honest, Lisa, this is just for me. Like, I need a reset. So I'm going to do a reset. If you guys want to do it with me, this is what I'm going to be doing from the
let's
9th to the
do it.
13th of January.
I love it so much. I want to encourage everybody to go sign up for Jessica's 5-day detox. I look forward to participating. Here's the thing I think is interesting is, and I've coached so many women on this exact topic and myself included. We can make a mountain out of health changes or challenges. I remember coaching a mom in one of my coaching programs on exercise, and she was just like, I'm just not even going to try. And I was like, well, why? And we had this long, like, I was really trying to get to the bottom of her motivation behind not even trying. And, she kind of had like a lot of excuses that would probably relate to a lot of people. Oh, I just don't really have the time. Where do I put my kids? Yada, yada, yada. But then when we got to the real heart of it, she was afraid of failing. She didn't want to like set the goal and then have be disappointed that the goal had not been actualized. And I think we can do the same thing for like diet and detox. You hear this word, maybe it brings up something negative in your mind. But what if it is actually really simple? Like, you're going to go to the grocery store and you're going to feed your body good food. And sometimes we just need a guide who can help us do that. So where can people go to learn more about this detox and about all the work you do for high performers?
Okay, so my website is athrivingcatholic.com. And if you go to athrivingcatholic.com/detox, you'll see everything there for the 5-day Fresh Start Detox. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at A Thriving Catholic.
And the links for the detox are right below wherever you are watching this or listening to this on where you love to listen to your podcast. So I want to just close talking about a realization you had in our mastermind experience. So you have been a member of my Wealth Without Guilt coaching community, and then you joined me inside of my Inner Circle mastermind, which I'm so thrilled. It's been such a thrill to watch you grow. And you realize that you love coaching high performers. Tell us about just like why does that appeal to you and what has making this shift done for you in your business?
Okay, so it appeals to me because I think that it is me, and for the vast majority of my life, I've always been, that type A person. I'm always trying to push for better and for more. And so for me, the thought of like optimizing my how I'm like in the world, like just how I am, like can I be the best mother I can be? Can I be the best wife I can be? Can I be the best? And it's not a competition with anyone else, it's a competition with myself. I want to be the best version of myself. And so that kind of language around performing at your best, being at your peak, like that's always been super appealing to me. It always has lit me up, really. And then, when we're like in the mastermind, I'm trying to kind of figure out like, I'm a health coach, but healthy habits, I feel like, are just a means to an end. It's always been like, it's just what you do so you're better. And the reason why you're better, like that gets to the root of it. The reason why you want to be better is so that you can do something that you're meant to be doing. And
Mhm.
so for me, this huge shift in this realization of like, I'm not just helping people lose weight or have more energy, like those things could happen. That's not what I'm about. Like what I'm about is helping you have the energy, have the vitality, have the mental clarity and focus to be performing at your best in your God-given vocation.
Mm.
And that's really it's made a huge difference for me when I like went from just like kind of a more general health coaching, which, I was always working with Catholic women. I was always working with, in a very Christ-centered way, because I think that's super important to recognize that we're both like a body soul composite. So that was always important to me. Um, but when I finally made the shift and was like, oh, like I can help people be even better. Like you're already awesome. Let's help you be even better. It just really like inspired me to take so much massive action. And I'm just so grateful for the mastermind for giving me that kind of clarity.
That is what has been really fun to watch in you, if I may. You were always an action taker. You always took my suggestions and recommendations and you would do them. But I think something happens in an entrepreneur when they really feel it's almost like when you go to the eye doctor and it's like, is this lens clearer? Is
Yeah.
this lens clear?
Yeah.
And as that gets clearer and clearer in your business, and everybody listen, like this takes time. Some people it can happen really quickly, but for most people, this is going to take some time and iteration. But it's so much fun. Like it has been so much fun watching how much action you've taken, how much confidence you have when this focus, when these, contact lenses, so to speak, got more and more clear. It's been really, really fun to watch you take so much action. And I'm just so excited for your detox and for all the things that you help people do. Jessica, thank you so much for joining me today on the Possibility Mom Live. It is such a pleasure to spend time with you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute. Everybody, so listen, no matter how far gone or lost or whatever you think you are, I just really want to encourage you. It can begin very simply. Health does not have to be this very complicated thing. And how much more fun is it to do it with some friends, link arms with some people, and go through this journey together. It is so much easier when we do things together. Speaking of doing things together, you still have a little bit of time to join me inside my brand new Possibility Mom Motherhood Without Guilt Academy. and Wealth Without Guilt Academy. These are my two newest offerings where you can sharpen the saw, get coaching for a really reasonable monthly cost. I talked to so many women this year who experienced financial hardship, who really wanted to get into coaching, but just felt like they couldn't justify the cost. I hope that my brand new Motherhood Without Guilt Academy and Wealth Without Guilt Academy are just the simplest decision you ever make to get yourself coached. You can join me at the founding members price before the price goes up in 2023. So check out the link right below this video to get in at this very, very early rate. I will see you in 2023. I promised to bring you some longer form content on our decision to move back to Canada for a period. If you're interested in renting my house in Florida, that is possible. You can do that. Go to the link in my Instagram. If you want to get out of, if you're in the winter wonderland that I am in and you need a little break, we've only been here, a week. I'm okay. I don't need a break yet. But if you are desperate for a little getaway, head over to my Instagram where you can learn how you can rent my house. It's so fun there. All right, my friends, I will see you in 2023 next week on the Possibility Mom Live. Bye for now.